Slide 1, title slide. Enmore Road, around Enmore Park. Hello everyone. My name is Amog Ajit Nalawade, and this presentation explores Enmore Road and the broader landscape around Enmore Park as part of urban assemblages too. My aim is to understand how historical layers, country-based readings, and present-day morphology shape this corridor, and how design interventions can strengthen ecological resilience, walkability, and cultural meaning. Slide 2, History. Enmore Road has deep time layers that define its form today. Before 1788, the corridor followed an original Cadigal walking track. This indigenous pathway structured movement long before the urban grid existed. By the 1830s, the area became dominated by large estates such as Enmore House, built in 1835. Between 1886 and 1893, Enmore Park was proclaimed in 2 stages, preserving part of the former estate. From the early 20th century to today, the finer-grained subdivision around Enmore Road transformed the landscape into the dense residential and commercial streetscape we experience. These historic phases help us understand why certain patterns, like wide open areas, tree lines, and irregular blocks, persist. Slide 3, Administrative bounds. Historically, Enmore Road acted as a boundary line separating Enmore Ward from Stanmore Ward. The road functioned as both a connector and a divider between parish jurisdictions. Heritage maps show the alignment shaped by old estate edges and early reserves. As subdivision increased, these parish lines influenced the street grid, lot structures, and municipal boundaries. This is why Enmore Road still feels like a transition corridor between 2 distinct neighborhood characters, one denser and more commercial, the other more residential and leafier. Slide 4, Understanding from readings. The theoretical framework comes from 3 key readings. Connecting with Country explains that country includes all living and non-living systems, people, waterways, soil, vegetation, and climate. Trees act as ancestors and planting becomes an act of healing. Engaging with Country encourages mapping sensory experiences, smells, light, sound, and restoring stories lost through colonization. Finally, the urban morphology reading reminds us that cities sit on top of natural systems like floodplains and former creeks. Recognizing these layers allows us to use green corridors, tree planting, and bioswales to reveal underlying geography. These principles directly guide the design solutions for Enmore Road. Slide 5, Present-day scenario. The present-day condition of Enmore Road changes dramatically along its length. Some sections are highly exposed, with little shade and heavy traffic. Others have mature street trees that soften the light and improve comfort. And the residential side streets offer calmer, greener environments. Understanding these contrasts is essential to shaping meaningful interventions. Slide 6, Isometric view of the site. The isometric view highlights the project boundary around Enmore Park and the surrounding residential grid. The red lines show where the street character shifts, shading, openness, density, and noise. This helps visualize how Enmore Road sits between multiple conditions and how connections to the park can be strengthened. Slide 7, Figure ground map. The figure ground comparison shows 2 eras. Around 1830 to 1850, the area consisted mostly of open estate land, with large blocks and very little built form. By the early 1900s, the area was fully subdivided. Terraces, shop tops, and mixed-use buildings emerged along Enmore Road, creating the compact urban fabric that defines today's streetscape. This shift from large estates to fine-grained lots explains the transition from open land to dense commercial frontage. Slide 8, Street frontages plus natural systems. 2 residential frontage types shape the street's environmental behavior. Type 1, with detached houses and garden setbacks, supports larger trees and better infiltration. Type 2, the continuous terrace row, depends heavily on street trees because built form takes up most of the ground plane. These differences influence shade, heat, and water movement. Together, they show how morphology interacts with natural systems such as drainage and canopy cover. Slide 9, Senses of place. The shaded pathways around Enmore Park and residential streets offer cooler, quieter walking experiences. The main exposed section of Enmore Road, marked in red, receives harsh sun, reflected heat, and noise. Bird chirping areas around the park demonstrate how canopy density shapes sensory character. This mapping reveals how vegetation, or the absence of it, affects comfort, movement, and atmosphere. Slide 10, Connecting with Country. Enmore Park connects strongly with country through its mature native species such as Port Jackson figs, Moreton bay figs, smooth bark kauri, and spotted gum. These species support local fauna including magpies, lorikeets, the gray-headed flying fox, and possums. The park becomes a living remnant of pre-colonial ecology, anchoring cultural identity and biodiversity in the inner west. Slide 11, Design Solutions. The design builds on country-based and ecological principles. Solution 1 creates a continuous green corridor, connecting native trees from residential streets to Enmore Park. Solution 2 introduces trees, rain pits, and bioswales, capturing and filtering stormwater while improving shade and soil health. Solution 3 proposes a shared cycle track with flexible shade and balanced multimodal movement. Together, these strategies cool the street, restore ecological flow, and reveal natural hydrology while enhancing comfort and walkability along Enmore Road.